Hi. So you are here to learn a little bit about using a lacrosse ball for self-massage. So I wanted to take you through the body from the feet to the back area. But I also realized that not every area of the body may be an area that you need self-massage with. So instead of forcing you to watch this whole thing from beginning to end, what I'm going to do is before I work a certain area, I just wrote out on a piece of paper what I'm going to be doing. And I'll hold that up to the camera so that when you're watching this, you can just toggle through um, the bottom of the screen and fast forward to different parts of the body that you want to focus on. That being said, if you want to do everything, that's great too. But at least this way, when I hold the sign up, you can fast forward through parts that don't pertain to you. Um, and then also with this, there are certain reasons why using a lacrosse ball is not going to be appropriate for everybody. So if you don't know if it's appropriate for you, please talk to your doctor first. But to give you an example, things like neuropathy in your feet, areas that you have lack of sensation, be very mindful about this because this can go really deep, and I don't want you working deep in an area that you can't feel very well. If you've had things like a history of blood clots, I'd be very careful doing this on the lower legs and specifically the calves. If you have had lymph nodes removed from your armpits or groin area, I'd be very careful using the ball around those areas. Same with if you have arthritis or osteoporosis or any sort of bone health issues, be really careful about not working too deep in those areas also. So as we get started, we are going to work with the foot first. So there's a couple things that we can do here, and it's hard to see um, while I'm using the ball on my foot because, it's going to be covered and you're not going to see so well. So I'm going to show you standing positions first, and then I'll show you where I'll hold my foot up and show you about where I'm placing it. So there's a few things we can do. Um, you can stand in sort of a squat area stance and roll the ball just underneath the base of your toes through the arch, doing kind of a rainbow half circle shape. Or a different stance that you can move into is a lunge. So instead of having your feet in a squat position, you can come into a lunge and then just lean forward and push the weight of your body onto the ball. So you can pick whatever stance feels most stable to you and then use your body weight to get into the depth that you would like. So you can stay up through the base of the toes here. You can work down through the arch. When you're in the lunge position, you can move your foot over the entirety um, surface of the ball and cover that whole area. So if you're having foot tension, calf calf tension, plantar fasciitis, anything like that, it's a great time to use the ball. If you're having an active plantar fasciitis flare up and it's really cranky, this might be too much, so be careful. Um, so when you are using your weight, maybe don't go totally gung ho and use all your weight. Be a little ginger about it. You can also do this seated, just in a chair, so you're not having to put your whole body weight on it and just kind of roll around. Now, this can be active the whole time where you're just constantly rolling your foot over, mobilizing all those little bones in your feet. Or if you come to a spot, probably in the arch, most of us are tight there, you could just apply pressure and hold it in one spot for, 30 seconds to a couple minutes, whatever feels good. So those are some suggestions for the foot. Let's do calf next. So if you have a yoga block, this makes it a little funner. Definitely don't need it. so don't worry if you don't. But sitting on the floor, placing your ball on top of the yoga block, and then resting your calf on top of the ball, and then pointing and flexing your toes. You can move it anywhere through here that you're feeling tight. Include that active movement. Really helps unstick things and get fresh blood flow. If that's not feeling like it's enough for you, or you're not getting enough sensation, you can remove the block, come down to the floor, lift your body up, and then roll the ball up and down your calf. That's going to go a bit deeper. That's still not deep enough. You can cross your unworking side. You can cross that ankle over the side that you're working and then roll your calf up and down the ball. Now that's going to be really deep and probably not appropriate for everybody, but if you have really strong, dense calf muscles, you might need to do that version. Okay, what are we doing next? It's like hamstring. This is good to have a chair. So grab your chair, sit down, lift the leg up that you're going to be working, and put the ball under your leg, really anywhere. If you know that you're particularly sore in one area, put the ball there. When you find your spot, just straighten and then flex that leg. And play around with moving the ball into different areas. Can work closer to the knee or closer to the bum. And now you can do this really for as long as you want. I mean, as long as you're not doing it for hours. I don't know why you would, but let's say maybe like a minute or so. Okay. Moving on to hip flexors. So that is the front of the hip, the muscles that are flexing your leg. Those are our hip flexors. Can get really tight if we're sitting a lot. A lot of us are, especially sitting at the computer these days. Those guys get tight and it can really throw our low back off and make our low back wonky. So if you have low back pain, this is usually a good thing to be doing. So how we work this is we're going to be on our tummy. You have your hip bones here. If you don't know where your hip bones are, get flat hands and do just gentle circles in the front of your hips until you feel a little bony prominence sticking out. And so that's your hip bones. The ball is going to stay, my hip bones right here, the ball's going to stay below that somewhere in this range. So I'm going to get on my tummy and then put the ball anywhere kind of in this space. Then you just use the strength of your arms, maybe your toes, to just roll your body up and down on top of the ball there. Do both sides. If you do this one, make sure you do both sides. I don't want you to be wonky and imbalanced. So this is a good one to, I think all of them are good to do both sides, but definitely this, I would make sure you do the other hip flexor as well. Moving on to glutes, our bum. So we can really be working anywhere, like this whole side, all the way to the back. So that's a large area. This area can also get really tight with sitting the back side of the bum right through the middle. We can get tension and it can compress our sciatic nerve. So sometimes if that gets tight, we'll have nerve pain down our leg. So this could be good to use in that situation. If you are having sciatic nerve issues, it can also be irritated by stuff like this too. So this may be something you need to talk to a doctor about if you're not sure if it's appropriate, but it is good for general tension. So the side that you're working, that leg is going to be straight. So lift your hip up and put the ball anywhere. When you feel like you might be on a tender spot, you can either just hang out there for 30 seconds to a minute or bend that knee slightly and then open and close the leg. If you need more sensation, bend the leg even deeper and then open and close the leg. The deeper the knee, the more sensation typically. So you could be a person that just needs to keep that leg straight, just open and close, or bend fully and open and close. You can roll around or find that juicy tender spot and hang out for 30 seconds to a minute. We have IT band next. This is kind of a fun one. So we put our legs in basically a 90-90 position. So both of my feet are angled the same direction. I'm going to be working the front leg. And so what we'll do is lift that leg up to put the ball underneath, and then using our hands and our body weight, putting the hands on the knee and then leaning forward while pushing down on our knee. And then moving the ball. Usually I start at the hip and then work down towards the knee. So it's kind of a little, I'm sure you've heard of foam rolling for the IT band. That can be really nice because it's more of a broad sensation, where this is very specific and can get very tender. However, the flip side is it's easier to put less weight on the ball than it is, I think, to put on the foam roller when you're doing the whole thing at once. So if your IT band does tend to be really tender, this might be, even though it's more of a specific pointed sensation, it might be better for you because you don't have to put all your body weight into it. You can even just do a tiny little bit if that's all you need. All right, and lastly, upper back. This really can be mid to upper back, so anywhere from here all the way up through the shoulders. Basically, you just find a spot and you lay on it. Now, with a lot of these other moves, you can be actively rolling over the ball the whole time, or just finding your little sweet spot, the tender spot, the sore spot, and hanging out for 30 seconds to a minute. If you come down here and you find that these lacrosse balls are pretty firm, so sometimes this is too deep for some people. So if you get down here, you put your ball kind of mid-back area behind your shoulder blade, and it just feels way too deep. What you can do is, if you have a long tube sock, put the ball in the tube sock so it's hanging at the bottom of the sock. You have the open end in your hand. You would then swing the ball, the bottom of the sock, over your shoulder. You're holding the open end here, and then you can just roll your back against a wall. Now, you don't need the sock to roll it against the wall, but if you're standing up or sitting down and you're rolling around, a lot of times you accidentally drop the ball and you have to bend over and pick it up. So if you put it at the end of that tube sock, you can just hold onto the sock in front of your body and not worry if you drop the ball. It won't go anywhere. But if you find that this works for you, what's really nice to do is throw your arm into the mix. The side that you're working, a lot of times I'll just reach down and diagonal to the opposite side, but you can do big arm and shoulder circles. Any of these different angles are going to change which tissues the ball is going to be able to get to. So it's giving it a little bit different orientation. So that's it. I hope you have fun. I hope you feel better. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye bye.